Hello everyone, and welcome back to another session of Dark Souls 2 PvP and another weapon showcase. This time I am using the curved Twinblade, which you can get from getting rank 1 in the Brotherhood of Blood Covenant, or by going to New Game Plus 2 and purchasing it from Chancellor Welliger. The bonfire aesthetics, they do not affect this. You actually need to go to New Game Plus 2. And because of those two requirements, this is a very uncommon weapon. That and the fact that it's really not terribly great. Getting started with the weapon, it requires 16 strength and 20 dexterity in order to wield. It has a E scaling and E scaling in strength and a B scaling in dexterity. The physical base damage of the weapon is 170, and on my build the attack rating is 305 with a Ring of Blades plus 2. So 255 without one. Now that's not terrible because of the fact that it is a Twinblade and has a standard Twinblade moveset. There are multiple hits per attack, so it builds up relatively well. The bleeding base damage, because this does have a bleeding effect to it, the bleed base is 40. The bleed total for the build is 108, and I did wear the Crest of Blood, which increases your bleed by an extra 50, so that brought my bleed total to 158 for this video. That being said, I did not wear any of the other bleed increasing gear like the Shadow Gauntlets. I don't even actually have a pair of them, so I don't know how well that would increase the bleed to, make it more viable, because in this entire video I do not believe I bled out any of the people, any of my friends that I was fighting, so it is the way it is. Very difficult to get that bleed to activate, and when you do, it's not exactly worth it, to be perfectly honest. But that's more for a later time in the video, more to talk about later. Now, the counter strength of the weapon is 110, the poise damage of the weapon is 25 per hit, and the weight is 10 units. So, this weapon, very uncommon. I honestly can say I've never had anyone use it against me in PvP, and I'd have to say that's probably more down to the requirements than to the fact that it is a decently bad weapon. It's not great, to be perfectly honest. That being said, it's not horrible. I've used worse, but it's definitely not top tier, and because of that, people don't really use it. So I'd have to say that the biggest con of this weapon would probably be the fact that it is actually the shortest of the twin blades. Because the blades do curve away, it's the curved twin blade, it is shorter than the other twin blades, and it's not a horrible thing, but it does make it a lot more difficult to actually make contact with the person, because they can just walk away at a leisurely pace and not have to worry about it, pretty much, compared to the other twin blades where you've got a little bit more reach. So with this one, you really have to be right on top of your opponent in order for it to be effective, and because of that, I find that it's actually a lot easier to parry, or to be parried when you're using it, because your opponent knows right when you're going to be attacking for the most part, because you're going to wait till you're right on top of them, and well, it doesn't really end well for you in a lot of cases. Now, with this weapon, I did look into the bleed infusion. So when you do infuse it with bleed, the physical base damage goes down from 170 to 163. The attack rating goes down from 255 to 214. And with Ring of Blades plus 2, it actually still gives you 40 attack rating extra instead of the full 50. So that's something. In a lot of cases, it drops lower than that. But with this one, it still gives you 40, which is not a bad thing at all. The bleed base is 57. And for the build I'm on, it's 57 plus 123. In addition to that, of course, I used the Crest of Blood, so that brought my bleed total up to 230. That being said, I did not use that in the video. I have yet to use it still, to be perfectly honest, but for the video itself, I felt as though having a higher attack rating would be more beneficial than having a higher bleed total. That being said, with that 230 bleed compared to the 158, that's definitely a lot more likely to have the bleed activate, so it's hard to say what actually is going to be better for that in this case. Now, I would have to say the biggest pro of this weapon would definitely be the fact that it's got a Twinblade moveset that builds up damage very quickly, and definitely does make up for the fact that it does have a relatively low damage output. Other than that, I mean, compared to a standard Twinblade, if you infuse a standard Twinblade with bleed, you'll do more damage with this weapon by about 100 attack rating, but you'll have 14 less bleed than a bleed Twinblade plus 10. So it's a trade-off, really. Honestly, I'd rather go with this if I'm trying to bleed someone with a Twinblade class weapon, so there's that. Other than that, there really isn't anything else worth mentioning. It does use Twinkling Titanite to upgrade, so it only goes 2+5, but that's pretty much it about the weapon. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, found it helpful in one way or another. Please like, subscribe, and all of that good stuff, and I will see you guys next time.